I can't take any credit for any of these questions, so if they're dumb, it's not on me. You got to blame Ben and Nick and Mandy, Steve, John, Brendan. I don't think is that Dr. Man? There's only, I think I can pronounce every last name that's in here. They're all pretty easy, and only about half the people used them. You think you think that's Dr. Man? You think that's yeah? It's DOCHTERMAN. It looks like Dr. Man.
Is there a countdown when we go?
Yeah, they'll count us in.
Oh, I didn't know. What's going on, guys? Oh, Gary, how we doing? Like, are they foreseeing them, or is it like, oh gosh, they've been hearing our conversation the whole time? Oh, okay. Yeah, Terry, go ahead.
All right, sounds like we are ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2021 Dynamic Disc Pro Panel presented by the PDGA. I'm your MC, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, but we're really here to hear the insights from these three people next to me. Of course, we've got Haley King on the end. We've got Paul Mccabe, and representing Team Discmania here, we have Eagle McMahon. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Doing wonderful.
All right, well, we're going to get going. We're going to get right into the action. I want to thank everyone that submitted the questions. You guys were able to do that on dynamicdiscopen.com, so we're going to read through these. I don't know if I'll have to do any kind of moderating as to what's in here, but I'll do my best to get through them for you guys. And I think this is a very appropriate one to get started with. This was submitted by Josh Berry out of Salem, Michigan. And he wishes to know, what is the most welcoming thing that any location has done for you as a player at a tournament away from your home? And that I'd love to hear from all three of you on that. What's the most welcoming thing that tournaments are doing for you guys? Eagle, you started off.
Dang, I was hoping Haley was going to go first. Let me think. The most welcoming thing, I mean, right off the bat, Emporia stands out because the whole town welcomes us. Like, there's no other place that I've been to where it's quite the same as Emporia, so I'll have to shout them out. But one other event that really comes to mind was the PCS Open. I actually stayed with Terry back in 2019. And just Brage, Sievert, all the crew over there is just absolutely incredible, and just the party they have there. If you go to the PCS Open, they're going to show you a good time.
Paul?
Yeah, well, for me it was actually it was at a McBeast Challenge, so it wasn't necessarily a tournament, it's something we were kind of hosting, but the local club or local family there, they kind of put together a care package of some of the most Baton Rouge things that they had, some like voodoo chips and all sorts of like snacks and treats and stuff that kind of showed us what Baton Rouge was all about and stuff like that. So that was really cool because it was unique to the area and things like that. But care packages like that I think are the coolest things that I've ever received. And then just kind of we get a lot of special treatment being some of the top players from tournaments and stuff like that, and kind of just the ins and outs of the town and cool things like that. But care package, or gift basket, I should say.
I'm going to follow that up real quick. Didn't you go overseas once and they had a car with your name on it or something? Is that a good way to win you over?
Some things like that as well. And actually, he mentioned PCS. It sounded like that they wanted to do something like that in Norway as well. But in Australia, yeah, they had some courtesy cars for some of the players, because I think mainly because it was 45 minutes to the course, 45 minutes from where the host hotel was. But yeah, the picture was a little weird.
Haley, what are some of the things, you haven't been on tour quite as long as these other two gentlemen, but what are some of the cool things that maybe they've done to roll at the red carpet for you?
So far in Emporia this year, the people are staying with this week actually has like a bunch of disc golf baskets out at their property, and they like keep their lawn kept up pretty nice so we can throw on their property, and they're just really nice. They're letting a bunch of disc golfers come over, so like we've added a bunch of people more than we were supposed to, so them doing that was really nice because a lot of Airbnb people don't do that.
Well, very cool. And I'm going to follow that up and just ask you guys just generically, coming to Emporia, I mean, everybody feels like a big deal here, right? I mean, every placard and billboard, sign, the streets are lined saying "Welcome Disc Golfers." I think it's pretty exciting for all of us to see and experience when you guys are here. All right, I want to follow that one up. Andrew Wolverton asks, and this is for all of you, do you ever get away from the cameras and the competition and just play for fun, as in not so serious practice rounds? Or do those always get vlogged?
I like to say so. Like even coming out here and practicing for this course, it's fun at the end of the day. You know, it's enjoyable to go out and play these courses and see how they've changed, see how they've developed, and see the challenge that the course designer, tournament director, and all that are trying to put on us as players. So that is fun. It's a fun challenge. But I'm sure a lot of players on tour as well just go out and play leagues and stuff like that. When I'm home, I'll try to eventually. I haven't had time this year, and usually when I'm there in the winter, it's a little bit too cold for my liking. But yeah, I do like playing disc golf for fun.
Yeah, I would definitely say if we're not out here having fun as professionals, like we should probably go do something else. But like I understand the question. It's if we're not playing a tournament or a practice round, are we going out of our way to play? And I would say I definitely do, but it's mostly when I'm back home. And shout out to the Boulder Disc Golf Club. But I like playing tags matches because they're on some shorter courses, and with a shorter course, I can actually be kind of competitive with the local players there because they're shooting 14, 15 down. So I have to be on my game, and it's kind of like good practice. So for me, competition's fun, so I'm always seeking out whether it's a tags match or wherever there's a little bit of money to be won.
I definitely like to play fun rounds. Usually we go to like pitch and putt courses, and just right before dark, usually it's after our tournament round, and we get to go play like a short 18-hole course. So I like to play disc golf when I'm not playing tournaments, so as much disc golf as I can get in, I'll be in.
I'll follow that one up specifically for you and say, when you go to a pitch and putt, is that because just birdies are fun, ace runs are fun, or it's a time thing? Is there a reason why you like, or is it just less stress playing a shorter course?
Well, to be honest, I suck at throwing putters, so that's why. Yeah, got to learn how to throw them somewhere. So
always practicing is what you're doing out there. All right, Steve Mathias, coming out of Farmington, New Mexico, asked this one of Paul specifically. How do you stay mentally focused?
Mentally focused. I think it's the competition side. I just love competing. And with the sport of disc golf, we got new young players coming in all the time. You got Eagle here. He's been here for how many years now? Like 6, touring, about 6 years. So, he's kind of on the older side now of a lot of the people that we're playing. I just love the competition. And sorry, can you repeat the question too as well?
How do you stay mentally focused?
Okay. But yeah, I can't. That's it. I can't let up. So it's I don't want to get left behind or anything like that. So, and I enjoy the process of it. I enjoy the the off the course stuff, the on the course practice, the field work, and all that stuff. So it's a lot of fun, and I think that's really what keeps me focused and loving the sport.
Well, I'm going to slightly reword what Oliver had written. Oliver Brown from Scotland had asked of all of you, saying that disc golf is currently 93% male when our wider society is 51% female. If we want the sport to grow, it seems like filling a panel with potentially 5 men and one woman isn't even the best representation. If we had all 5 gentlemen here, would it make sense to maybe give up a spot or two to have more women representation on this panel? I'll ask you that, Paul. I mean, should we?
I think it could be 3 and 3. It was supposed to be 6 originally, right?
Yeah, 5 and 1.
I think 3 and 3 is solid. I think that would help it get a wider audience. And I think that, what is it, 97.3%? Is that what you said?
93%.
Yeah, or 93%. And I think that's PDJ. I think I see a lot more females out on the course. I think it's just figuring out a way to get them to sign up for PDJ and want to be competitive, because I think that number is a little bit off because it's a PDJ number. It's a competitive side number. So I'd really be interested to see what the number is in the sport of disc golf. So maybe if we can find a way to get that number, it might entice more women to want to be competitive and make that number a little bit closer to 50-50.
Eagle, I'll kind of piggyback on that and say, I feel like for many years, it's been 40 years of a lot of men sitting around saying, how do we get more women in the sport? So maybe we're not the best people to ask, but I'm going to ask you anyway before I ask Haley how to answer that. What do we need to do to have greater female representation?
Yeah, so I think the best thing to do is start at a grassroots level at your local club, and I imagine that most clubs have at least some ladies, and creating a ladies league would be huge, because I know my girlfriend down in Alabama, there's the only time she really gets to play with other women is when she's playing some tournaments, and there's only like 4 or 5 signed up. So start like a ladies league around and just make it fun for them, and then they'll hear, their friends will hear about it. They might introduce someone who hasn't played before, and just making it a welcoming experience for them. And I think once they see that and they notice that they can improve in something and have potentially get a new passion, I think that's going to be what's going to grow disc golf in the long run.
And Haley, we know it's the biggest question. How do we get more women playing? You were introduced to the game by your dad, and then you've gone out and you've really taken to it. But how do we get other people your age, younger or older, it doesn't really matter. How do we get more women, and should that be a primary focus?
So I think having the 3 women and 3 men is a good way to go about it, just because there's more representation of women being up there, and just seeing more people like you being on the top is going to make you more motivated to be up on the top. So I think just letting us be there is going to help grow that enough, and then getting more women into the sport. When women come into the sport, it's a lot of times not the position we want to be in. It's like we're forced to be there. So when I first started, I was actually lucky enough to wanting to be there. It was with my dad, so it was fun. But in majority of cases, it's boyfriends and girlfriends. They drag their girlfriend along, right? So it has to be a positive experience when they're on the course, and you can't just try to teach them how to throw disc golf right away. You can't try to force them into the game, You got to let them play the game how they want. If they want to fall in love with it, they're going to fall in love with it. You don't have to push them to do it. So,
yeah, I like that. And I would follow that up with one more note of, I think when we see a new group of players go out, far too often, and this is stereotypical, I'll say it, far too often the men hand the women a disc, which may or may not be appropriate for them. They throw it, and then the men kind of just take off and leave the women behind, like, oh, you're taking too many throws, or maybe just there's not enough patience there. And I think that could maybe be a way we could go about solving it as well. It's a pretty simple thing to do. Be more patient. All right. I'm going to move over to Jesse Cole coming in from Norfolk. This is a little bit more specific to the event. And it says, what holes at Jones Gold are you looking forward to attacking, and what holes will you focus on playing a little bit more conservative? And we all know Jones Gold is really the newest course that we're seeing this year. So give everyone a little bit of insight, because it's going to be the newest one. Why don't you go first, Eagle?
So, it really depends on the weather, because I'll be attacking the entire course. There's really only 2 holes out there where things could get a little bit messy, and that's hole 1 and 18. Otherwise, I feel like the course is, it plays not as hard as any other course we play on tour. So, it's all about just picking your spots. Like tomorrow is going to be potentially rainy and windy, so that might play a factor. But for the most part, I'm going out and trying to attack the whole course.
I've played the course 1 time, so it's, for me, I just want to stay in bounds, get as far as I can. I can reach a lot of the holes, so I can get quite a bit of birdies out there, as long as I don't take any bogeys. Yeah, it's not that tough of a course, like Eagle said, so.
Yeah, I think some holes that come to mind are like the stretch between 8 and 13. I think they're very, very attackable par 4s. It potentially, I think 2 par 5s in there that are eagleable. So I think that's a stretch where someone can go 7 down through 6 holes or something like that. So I think those are some must-get ones. But I think every other hole, like Eagle said, it's very attackable. And hole 1 is definitely a tough one. You can double bogey, if not triple bogey, that first hole, and that's not going to get you where you want. And then the last hole is pretty tough as well. But yeah, it's a very attackable course, and I think Eric. I talked with Eric a little bit, and he kind of mentioned it's a scoreable one, and he expects Country Club to play a little bit harder this year too.
No, I'll go sideways here for a moment. You're mentioning Eric as in Eric Mccabe, of course, 2010 world champion. I'll put you on the spot. What do you think Eric McCabe's course design? Or course designs, any that you've played? Yeah, well, I'll ask you first. Call out Eric McCabe, good or bad?
Call him out. I think he's doing the most he can with gold, designing it to where it's enjoyable to play. But I think what he has, the property he has there with gold, is the weather needs to be in play in order for the course to be tough. And I think Eric understands it's extremely scoreable if the wind is down or the weather is calm. But that's just kind of, the lay of the land there. It's kind of what they got there at that park. And I'm sure if he had a lot more land and just had a piece of property and all the equipment in the world, he could create an extremely hard course for us.
All right. Well, here's one that came in for Nico. Nico, yeah, he's still warming up. I think he's practicing his putting stroke right now, so he's not quite in. So here's one, and I'll shift it to you because it applies. It says, is this the year you get your first world title?
I sure hope so. I mean, this is probably like one of the most asked questions, at least for me. A lot goes into getting a world title, and it's not just showing up and just saying, this is my year. I mean, there might be a little bit of that, but the work starts now. You got to be focused on every hole, and the amount of work that goes into it is just it's crazy. But you just got to put yourself through in each situation. You got to learn from your failures, and you got to have the drive. I think what it comes down to is how much passion do you have, and and how you handle each situation. So it's all about just being in the moment for me. And of course, I have the goal to win a world title. So does everyone else out playing disc golf. But it's just about putting myself in the situation when the time comes.
We know someone, as you mentioned, passion. Nico is certainly a player that's always out there with plenty of passion. And Haley, you've proven that you can hang and beat the best in the world. You did it last year at the Pro Tour Championships. You picked up a big victory just a few weeks ago. World title in your sights this year in Ogden, Utah?
I mean, I'm going right there after DDO to practice, so that would be great. I want to win. I wanted to get one by the time I was 21, so it's coming up quick. Gotta work hard for it. So.
All right, big goals. And Paul, I'm going to follow that up real briefly and say, a few years ago when we were seeing the Utah Open getting played, and this all relates to Worlds and driving for it, Utah has elevation that messes with everybody's throws. Is that something that you're worried about? Or
Not mine.
Okay, maybe not this guy. So is that something that you're going to take into extra consideration with the extra practice time?
I think the benefit there is we're coming typically from sea level, especially on the west coast there, and then going to elevation. So usually it's a little bit more overstable. So I think it's easier to go that way than the opposite. You can kind of control all your discs. It's just going to be a touch more overstable. I've only played one of the courses, and the course is fairly short, especially for the level course we're playing now. So it'll be interesting to see how it's on a golf course too. So it's like a lot of hyzers and things like that, to where if we get into the woods, it might be a little bit more interesting when you're trying to shape shots with your fairways and mids and stuff like that, to where it might be a bigger factor than what it has been at Mulligan's.
All right, well, I know you're going for your sixth, and some other people here would love to get in your way on that. Here's a question, and maybe it's best suited for Haley because you're the freshest on the tour. Brendan from Kansas asks, how much money would you recommend someone who's looking to go on tour to have prior to traveling, as in without a sponsor to help pay for things? I've known you've worked a few jobs, you've saved up, you hit the road, and then you started winning. But what did you have goals in mind for an exact amount you wanted in a bank account before you hit the road?
I didn't really have a goal, so what I did was when I went on the scene is I made sure I could cash before I went on the road.
Wow.
So I actually went on the road with like $2,000 in 2019, and I've cashed ever since. So it's like I haven't really had to worry about that. But if you're in a situation where you can't do that, like for the MPO, it's a lot harder because there's just so many more people. I think I don't know, probably like 15,000 is good. It costs like 2,000 for tournaments, and if you're able to cash, that'll get you there. But I don't really know for the MPO side.
I love your response. Just go out there and cash, play well, and cash every time. That'll help, which is very true. Yeah, Paul, do you have something to say to that?
Yeah, I think what Haley said is a big thing. I think you got to be able to win regionally. If you're not winning in your area, I wouldn't even bother going on tour, because it's you're not gonna not win there and then come out here and win. You need to learn how to win and do that in your local area and go through that scene and do it before you even think about touring. Because I mean, one entry fee here is like $250. So like she said, like you're gonna spend $500 to $7,500 just in entry fees, and you got to have that before the season even starts. Like you got to sign up for these tournaments early. So yeah, if you can do that, then I think she's right. You're gonna need like $15,000 to start. Just to get that ready, and then GBO you got to book or DDO Dynamic Disc Open. You got to have your place booked like 4 months ago or 5 months ago if you want to find a place here. So I just say, if you're winning in your local area, you're dominating, then you should be ready to come out and compete with us.
Eagle, anything to say to that? I know you traveled with your dad a little bit when you first went out there. What kind of conversations did you guys have?
Well, my dad's always been really supportive, but all I can really add to this is, I completely agree with both of them. But when I started touring, I was winning regionally. That previous year I won an A tier, and I had a job, so I think I had probably around $10,000 saved, and to come out on tour, and I never really. The main thing is make sure you're not thinking about the money too much. Obviously, you want to be responsible. Don't get into any unnecessary debt. But you got to go out there being good, like winning regionally and knowing that I belong out on tour. I can stay out on tour. That's like the main thing. You got to make it sustainable, and the one way to do that is play good, and then you can figure out whatever social media or side hustle from there.
Yeah, and I think it's incredible when we talk about our players going out there, what they have to do to prep for it and what they've seen. And maybe we've seen disc golf grow considerably, and you guys have been very successful in getting your sponsors, but getting good, learning how to win, like you were saying, I think is just so crucial. And then hopefully you bring that confidence out onto the tour. All right, we're the night before the tournament, this big 4-round event, of course, a second stop on the national tour. And Cody from Pittsburgh, Kansas asks, do you still get nervous for tournaments do you still get nervous for tournaments? And maybe answer that in 2 parts, if you would. Nervous, say, today versus the tee of hole number 1 tomorrow.
I'm more nervous for this than for disc golf.
Okay.
I feel like I don't really get nervous the night before. It's like an hour before my tee time, and then I'm able to like settle it down before I tee off.
Give us one quick pro tip on how Katrina earlier today talked about calming her mind and quieting her mind. Give us a pro tip. What do you do to get focused in?
I really like putting, so that's my comfort spot. So I'll go putt until I feel like mentally fit to go play.
Okay. Paul, do you get nervous? I mean, are you nervous today versus, say, tomorrow morning on hole 1 or tomorrow afternoon on hole 1?
No, I am not nervous today. I feel like I put a lot of time out on the courses, putting, and all that stuff, so I feel very prepared. I don't feel nervous today, but then starting tomorrow, I'll definitely get nervous. Like, I don't get nervous the night before to where I can't sleep. Sometimes final day, like going into the final day, I'll get those feelings. But today, pretty calm, prepared. But tomorrow, as the time gets closer, you get into the warm-up, you want to get into that zone, and that's usually when I start to feel the nerves, because I know like everything I worked on, all the time that I spent on the course, the practice putting and all that stuff. All right, here's where it's going to shine. So like I'm nervous to see if that work is going to translate into great scores. So it's more so nervous about how my preparation was more than anything.
Paul put it perfectly. Like the only time I feel nervous is maybe if I didn't get the proper preparation in before the event. But as long as I prepared well and am deliberately taking each moment, one moment at a time, then I really don't get too nervous. Maybe when I step up on T1 and there's a headwind and I don't know what disc to throw, there might be some nerves there, but after a while it kind of wears off. But honestly, I think most people could say this: as the tournament progresses, and if I'm closer and closer to the top, then I feel some nerves. But I like the way the nerves feel. It makes me feel alive.
Well, I feel like that's where our champions really excel, is they feed off of those nerves, they feed off of that energy, and somehow they convert that to a 60-footer, or they convert that to a park drive, and all three of you have done that throughout your careers. Here's a great question that is really kind of a tangent to everything else, asking, do you have a favorite color of disc? If so, why? And I think the better question is, does the color affect the flight characteristics? Haley?
I've never paid attention to any of that stuff. It's a disc, in my opinion. I don't have a favorite color to throw either. It's just a disc.
Any color you won't throw?
No, I throw a black
that's an
disc.
ugly
I just
color.
lose
I
them.
won't wear. I won't throw it. There's no color that's off limits for you.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think the colors definitely have a tendency to shape disc a little bit. I think a certain color will dry quicker than another one, or I should say cool, not dry. So there is possibilities to where it can affect the plastic a little bit, but I don't have a favorite. I think I have every color under the sun in my bag right now. So
Any color you won't throw though, like you just don't like the color, or you don't like looking for it.
I think green is the one I throw the least out of any color. I do have one green, but it's more of a sea foam mint green. But I think green's probably the one that I don't necessarily grab right away.
I will not throw yellow, like a bright green, or orange. I don't like the bright colors. For me, I really enjoy kind of like a light blue, or maybe a purple, or like a deep Merlot red. For me, it really matters what color the disc is. Like, if I'll completely disregard a disc if it's orange. It's like I will not touch it. I can't do it. And if I put one disc that's like green or yellow or orange in my bag, it just completely messes with me. Can't do it.
I'm clearly not at your level, but I couldn't agree with you more. There's colors I just absolutely won't throw. I hate orange. I hate yellow. I would never put them in my bag. Haley, are you the most chill and laid back disc golfer on the tour?
I don't know. Sure.
Okay. Where does that come from?
I don't know.
So Haley stayed with Hannah and I at our house. What was that? A couple months ago. We forgot she was there. We forgot she was
leave
there.
the house and she's back there.
She was just hanging out downstairs putting sometimes, and she had the whole basement to herself. So we forgot you were there sometimes. But yeah, she's pretty chilled, laid back.
I'll follow that up with one more then. What gets you really agitated, ticked off, frustrated, just incredibly over the top, upset?
Like disco?
Sure, yeah.
When people are really slow.
Okay.
Like waiting for no reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who?
Who?
You got any names? Everybody wants to know who you're thinking about. No? Okay. Okay. This one, that previous question was from Mandy. It looks like Nick and Mandy really jumped on a bunch of questions, which is great. Thank you, guys. This one says it's for Eagle. It says, pick one. I know the situation is dependent on what you would choose, but let's say you had to pick one and not the other for an entire year, forehand or backhand. That was a long way to say that. But yeah, forehand or backhand. If somehow you were forced to only throw one shot or another for the whole year, what would you do?
Backhand, easy. Backhand's way more versatile than forehand, and it's way easier on the body. So, forehand's great, and, I definitely rely on it a lot of the time, but, as time goes on, I'm trying to throw more and more backhand just for the longevity.
Okay, and then I'll follow that up for you and ask, of the other table here, who throws a better forehand, Haley or Paul?
Oh, boy. That's not a good question.
All right, we can skip it then. Just trying to put a little heat on you guys. I've been told I asked too many softballs for you guys. All right, Haley, I think we kind of touched on this, but it was asked by Mandy. Game plan this week. Well, you said you didn't practice. You only got one round in Missy Gannon said that earlier today. Is that because you were more concerned with getting rest, or you just didn't want to be out in the wind? Like, what was the game plan for this week in your preparations? Sorry.
Well, I got here Wednesday, but I just didn't feel good to throw a Frisbee. Like, I just wasn't wanting to throw a Frisbee. I just wanted to, like, sit and watch movies all day, so I did that. And then I played 3 rounds of country, so.
And 1 round
that's
at
what
Jones.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I walked it, so it's like I played it and then walked it, so I mean almost 2 rounds. But I don't know, they're pretty simple courses. I've played country club a million times, so stay in bounds and have fun. Don't get too upset. You'll do good.
Hopefully there's no one slow in front of you. All right, this one comes in for Paul, and it says, you recently started the Paul Mccabe Foundation with a mission to bring disc golf to underserved locations around the world. Tell us what that was inspiring you to do that, and what are some of your long-term dreams or goals with it?
Well, I think first right now I just want to shout out Ricky and why he's not here. You know, the Wysockies, thoughts and prayers with them. Yeah, just kind of hit me right now. But yeah, the Paul Mccabe Foundation was started with just kind of the thought and just like the goal to get disc golf in so many areas. You know, we're very privileged to be able to go and play disc golf around the world, and disc golf is just something that could be everywhere. You know, it's just something that I feel like it could be in every city, it could be in every country. It's so cool because, you know, I found disc golf because it was near my house. You know, my dad played, but you know, I was able to play it a lot because it was near my house, and I just feel like there's such a lot of the major cities we have are kind of just like black holes for disc golf. We don't have any courses that are really too close to a lot of the cities, and so many countries just don't have the resources to have disc golf yet, or haven't been introduced to disc golf yet, whether it's the baskets, discs, or anything. So this is just kind of me being able to, you know, I have this platform, I have this position in the sport to where I can actually do something and make a positive impact and get disc golf in, you know, our first one's coming up here in May in Mexico. You know, and that's my heritage, and that's kind of like a big deal to me. Like we're gonna be down where my family comes from, so to be able to, you know, input a disc golf course and be able to put it in somewhere that's very youthful area, and be able to go out there and teach disc golf to so many. Well, I should say I don't know all the ages that are going to be there, but a lot of kids. It's going to mean a lot, and I just look forward to so many opportunities. I talked with Eagle the other day about if he had the opportunity to put a disc golf course, where would it be? And you said the Himalayas, correct? Mm-hmm. And that's just incredible. And Haley, I haven't asked you, where would you love to see disc golf one day? Well, she'll think about it, but it's just, I mean, it's incredible, and I just feel honored to be in this position, and look forward to so many more projects that we can do. But yeah, this is just the first step for us, and I look forward to, you know, hopefully this continue on, and once I'm gone. So.
Yeah, certainly leaving a legacy, doing so much more greater good for the sport of disc golf that's given you so much. And then I will also go on what you just mentioned. Ricky Wysocki not available to be here today, as you just said. His sister, he's put it out there on Facebook. I know his sister is battling a brain tumor. It sounds like things are maybe worsening. And so Ricky is tending to his family. He has talked about still possibly being here for the tournament. But of course, we're all thinking about him and want to see him and his family, his sister, with the best possible outcome that we could see from her. All right. One of the questions was for Ricky with regard to Lyme disease, but I'm going to just somewhat shift that and say, how healthy are you guys? Are you feeling good? Is there any ailments, anything that might be hindering you right now? Or do you, on a scale of 1 to or 0 to 100%, how are you feeling overall physically, Eagle?
This year, I mean, I feel decent right now, but I just turned 23, so getting old. I'm actually the oldest at my Airbnb. It's kind of weird, but just a little bit of like some back stuff. It's like nothing that's preventing me from playing an event or performing, but a little bit of my upper back, but also like the shoulder, elbow, that stuff that is pretty, throwing a sidearm, throwing a backhand's pretty impactful on those joints. I'm actually wearing like an elbow sleeve out there, and that's more for backhand than it is sidearm, because it's all about like when you fully lock out your arm. I'm just kind of reaching end motion, and I'm almost like double jointed in my arm. So, I'm kind of feeling a little bit of discomfort there, but I think that's just, it's just being an athlete. You're going to run into things like that. And, I do my best to mitigate it. And, that's what the off season's for. But, I'll closely monitor that. I'm not in jeopardy of missing any event soon, I don't feel like, but something that I will keep an eye on. And and shout out to Seth at Disc Golf Strong, because he helps so many athletes out on tour, because he's very knowledgeable. He gives us all strength exercises, and if we need to find a practitioner, he's calling around for us, searching the local scene. So I speak on behalf of Seth that he's the man.
Yeah, certainly is, and he's been such a great asset to the entire sport of disc golf, the Pro Tour and beyond. He's been incredible. So Disc Golf Strong, and I've seen that you've been occasionally using a cart instead of using your bag on your back, and I'm guessing that's all tied to that.
A little bit, but it's also just nice that I can load up my bag more and just not worry about picking it up.
Okay, makes sense. I mean,
it's 23.
Old age of 23.
23, yeah.
Haley, how are you feeling? You did some working out in the off season. How are you feeling right now overall?
I'm eating good, and so I'm feeling good. Everything's going well. I'm not really hurt. I did hurt my ankle in the beginning of the season, but we're doing good now, so feeling good and ready to go.
And Paul, I mean, you've had a number of things. We've heard about your back. We've heard about something in your foot, an ankle or heel, and all sorts of things. USDGC a few years ago. How are you feeling right now? Is there any ailments?
Yeah, that was a long process, trying to figure out what was wrong with the ankle, and finally just figured out it was just a bone displacement, tibia, fibula, whatever one it was, just kind of slid down a little bit out of place, and they popped it back in, and we're good to go. So just got to strengthen everything up and get it ready, but yeah, I feel great. I don't have anything. I mean, Eagle sounds older than I do, so I think I'm in a good position right now. Don't really have anything besides just playing a lot and just being a little bit sore and just having to recover post practice rounds and stuff like that. I mean, to be honest, the tournaments are the easy part. When you're only playing one round a day, it's the practicing that takes the toll on the body more than anything. But no, I feel great.
And the final follow-up to that one is this year. You're scheduled to play more tournaments than any other year.
Yeah.
Give everyone a little insight as to why.
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy with COVID last year. I didn't know what we had ahead of us this year. So it was kind of like, all right, I want to get in on anything I can, play as much as I can, because I'm sure some of these are going to disappear. And just like Mid-America last week wasn't COVID related, but the course got flooded and they had to move it. And I was like, all right, there's another one knocked off. So I think I only had maybe about 4 or 5 tournaments more than normal. I'm usually around 20 to 25. I think I had closer to 30, but I think 2 of them have already been crossed off that list with Mid-America, and then that Resistance Disc one. I won't be attending that one either. And then going to Am Worlds instead. So there's some that have already been knocked off, but it'll probably be close to that 25 tournament range.
All right. Well, as we start to wrap things up, I'm going to give you guys each the floor for a moment. I'd love for you to thank your sponsors, any supporters, anyone else, shout-outs or mentions that you want to throw to everyone out there. Haley?
I want to thank my mom and dad. Love you two very much. You're very supportive, and I can't thank you enough. Shout out to my sponsors, Discraft, Ladies First, Perfect Putt, Resistance, Mitten Bags, and Rolling Ridge Disc Golf Course. And thanks to all my fans. You're dope, and couldn't appreciate all the love.
Yeah, thank you, Discraft. Thank you, Grip Bags, Foundation Disc Golf. Thank you, Terry, for being the MC of this. We Terry was behind the scenes, and we pulled him up here so we didn't feel so lonely. But thank you, Disc Golf Pro Tour, PDJ, for putting this event on, and everyone for watching at home. This is going to be a fun one. I think this is the first tournament back. We got fans, so thank you to all the fans that are going to come out to this and all the spectators. This is going to be awesome. And then, yeah, shout out to my family watching out in California, my family watching out in Virginia, and all my friends and family out there. but yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for us to finally feel back.
Yeah, shout out to my dad, my girlfriend, whoever's watching. Shout out to Colorado. We got a pretty good contingency out here. And then, of course, shout out Discmania, Grip Equipment, Backstage Organics, Whale Sacks, all the people support me. Disc Golf Strong is a big one. Couldn't do it without them. And what Paul is saying is, I think disc golf feels like it's really back now. That's the cool thing. There's going to be about 1,000 fans out here, so really looking forward to that. Looking forward to playing. Love the four round tournaments. Those feel like it just makes the whole event bigger. So I'm excited. Yeah, thanks Emporia too.
All right. Well, with that, guys, we're going to close out the 2021 Dynamic Disc Pro Panel presented by the PDGA. I've got to thank Doug Bjerkes and the entire staff and crew here, of course, at the Dynamic Disc Open for making everything happen. We always talk about how Emporia knows disc golf, how welcoming it is. This is truly a special and unique place to be. So if you're not here this year, you need to be here in 2022 because it's absolutely incredible. Of course, we're going to have all the live coverage for you guys on Disc Golf Network throughout the weekend, so make sure that you tune in. That starts tomorrow. We got MPO and FPO action for all 4 days right there on Disc Golf Network. For Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Eagle, Paul, and Haley, that's been your Pro Panel. We'll see you guys next time on the Disc Golf Network.